It's not like Lola again. No, watch Lola. We did watch Lola. It's not even family. Small. Small. It's really small.
White.
Why?
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, we call the city council public hearing to order, November 29th at 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mayor Allison.
Here.
Tom Baylor.
Here.
Kathy Sherman.
Here.
Daisy Kinsman.
Here.
Wendy Rainey.
Here.
Ann Schaefer.
Here.
Kristen Carpenter. Is absent. Ken Jones.
Here.
That's a quorum of council.
Okay, this is a public hearing tonight on ordinance 1210. An ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, amending Cordova Municipal Code, section 5.40.010 to increase the sales tax rate from 6 to 7% and revising language will clarify the scope and application of Cordova sales tax. And ordinance 1212, an ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, amending Cordova Municipal Code, section 5.40.030 to increase the cap on taxable sales and services from 3,000 to 5,000. Public hearing is open. If you have any comments to make, come up, state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Ezekiel Brown, South Point Drive. I have two things I'd like to comment on about the city budget and the increase in tax rates in front of you. The first is how the city's tax and utility policies have a disproportionate effect on renters and affordable housing in this town. Charging sales tax on rent is effectively double taxing renters in this town, as rent has to cover both property tax and additionally sales tax on top of that. I am a small fourplex in town that I hope provides affordable housing to Cordovans. These apartments are a good example of how much the city is responsible for rental rates. If a one-bedroom apartment is rented for $1,000, $60 of that goes to cover sales tax, $80 goes to property tax, and $164 goes to city utilities. That's $300 of $1,000 rent going to the city, before accounting for whatever the city makes off the diesel fuel for heat and all the other expenses of the building. These utility bills or sales tax rates are effectively passed on to the renter. The city should exempt long-term rentals from sales tax collection. Often the argument for raising sales tax instead of property tax is made that local residents are bearing the brunt of property tax increases, or renters are getting unfairly taxed by both taxes. Next, the city has the ability to set utility rates at different levels for single-family homes versus apartments. It makes no sense to me that a 4-bedroom home should be charged the same for water, sewer, and garbage as a 1-bedroom apartment. I would also like to comment on the request for additional funding for the police department. Although I sympathize with the workload of the officers, the city does not have the resources to fully fund every department. In the letter requesting funding to police, they alluded to an old schedule with periods of time with no officers on duty. Perhaps a schedule like that is all the city can afford, at least in the winter months. It is also mentioned that a 15-minute response time for critical incidents occurs when the officer is at the airport, and that's unacceptable. I understand that's any delay is unacceptable, but I think that's pretty remarkable. I think it's probably much better than most major cities in America if you do a 15-minute response time. I'm much more concerned by the possibility of our ambulance not having EMTs to respond to a medical emergency. I applaud the department's recent work with large drug raids and busts. I did note that the troopers were present at these events. I wonder if there's a possibility for them to assist the department more. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our Jewel Mile 2.2 Woodshed Road. Thank you for all your hard work on the budget. I know it's been continuing throughout the month of December. I wish you good luck with that. I wanted to comment about the, tax. I would agree with the previous speaker's comments about applying that sales tax to rent. It does double tax. They're already paying for the property tax. We have a severe shortage of affordable housing in the community, and anything that goes in the direction of making it harder and more expensive, I think is going against the priorities that this council and the city has already set. So I would encourage, if there's a way to change that, with this ordinance, I would encourage you to do so. I am sad to see the increase in sales tax from 6 to 7%. That puts us almost as high as the state of California. That's a high sales tax rate in a community where people are already struggling, and it's not a seasonal, so it's affecting residents more than anyone else. And residents are already struggling to pay food prices, gas, etc. And I understand the intent, and I understand the wish to put more onus on people who use services, buy things, etc., rather than on property owners. But this is also fairly regressive, and it's a high sales tax. It's almost to the cap of what we're allowed to charge. So I wish that there was another way, and I would have rather seen us raise the cap on taxable sales and services to 10,000 as opposed to 5,000. Again, I really look forward to one other comment, although it's not a part of this ordinance, but I want to comment on the letter about the police officers. I highly support hiring another officer. I strongly support the 24-hour coverage in this community. I think we've seen what happens when we don't have it. I don't think we can afford to not have it. And while we can't afford to fund every department, it would appear to me that public safety would be the one that we fully fund. I think that the letter written by Officer Hayden speaks well to all of the issues, and that the turnover we've had in just the short time that I've lived in Alaska, I guess it's not so short now, but the turnover is pretty unacceptable, and it's really hard on everyone. We lost some incredibly talented officers because what we asked them to do is unsustainable, and I hate to see that happen again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm kind of, I could have some studying to do, but as a homeowner here.
What's the name and
My
address?
name is Simone Nolan, and I am at 303 Third Street.
Thank you.
I don't know, how is this, the amount of tax hikes and cutting away, for instance, like the police department, the tax hikes, how is it sustainable? How is this trajectory sustainable? And this is my question to all of you. Now, I have some, studying to do, and maybe you've taken on some big projects that need a lot of funding. But, what about the children and the grandchildren? I mean, where are we going? Because, for instance, property taxes went jump. Like, how do you make such a jump in 1 year? And then where is it going from there? And, is taxing everyone and taxing the packages that come into town and taxing, and then on the radio you have, every hour there's a thing from the city saying, you better watch out because we need to tax your dollar. Well, what if you try to save money to pay the taxes that you already want, but you want to tax the money that, it's, don't you think it's kind of a runaway train? At this point, and then what about, literally, like, I think of the children, are they gonna even be able to afford to live here? And what kind of brainstorming can we do? Like, are there portfolios and that you can grow? Is there something else to do besides just put the burden on, everyone that you're serving? I know you don't have the answer, but at some point, don't we have to pull back a little bit, rethink our priorities? For example, the police department, that's a priority, isn't it?
This is your time to comment, isn't it?
I'm just commenting, but my comments are basically a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Because it literally, how is it sustainable for those of us with young adult children and grandchildren, like, that wanna stay here, that wanna build here, wanna create here? Where's the break for the people of Cordova? That's just my question. And I'll study, I'm a studier, so give me something to study. And so I could help in some way, or be part of a think tank, or who knows? I mean, anyway, I just wanted to make
Thank you.
those questions, because, I mean, I don't have the answers to them.
Any other comments on the budget? I think for those online, we've heard comments from the three non-staff people in the audience. There are three staff people here. So, last chance, anybody else wanna make comment? Staff can make comments too, your residents. All right, then, there being no further public comment, we will adjourn the public hearing.
Mr. Mayor, 1 second.
We can be on the same.
Yeah, I think you're saying on.
Okay.
What about this one?
Okay, we're good.
I'm just going, yeah.
Okay, we'll call the special city council meeting to order November 29th, 2023 at 7:14 PM. Roll call, please.
Mayor Allison,
Here.
Tom Baylor.
Here.
Kathy Sherman,
Here.
Casey Kinsman,
Here.
Wendy Rainey,
Here.
Ann Schaefer,
Here.
Kristen Carpenter is absent, Ken Jones.
Here.
That's a quorum of council.
Approve the agenda. Any objection to the agenda? Hearing none, then the agenda will be approved. Disclosure of conflicts of interest, ex parte. Hearing none, communications by participants, visitors. Audience comments regarding agenda items. This would be on the budget itself and city manager's interim contract.
Barb Jewel, mile 2.2 Whitewood Road. I just want to reiterate some of the comments I made in the public hearing in regards to the special meeting. Regarding ordinance 1212, I would again encourage you to consider putting a cap back to 10,000 as opposed to 5,000. But I understand that it means that I was not able to attend. There were business owners who talked about the difficulties in managing seasonal sales tax adjustment. Given how software adjusts those things for you with the press of a button, and again, I don't own a business, so I can't fully speak to it, but I'm a little surprised that was the primary concern. And would encourage us to go back to considering the seasonal sales tax. And then, I really appreciate you taking care of the city by making sure you have an interim city manager, and I really appreciate the work that Ms. Greenwood has done already in that capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for the public's regards, it's not on the agenda tonight, but the budget that this covers does include the 5th officer and the chief and the EMTs pay for that. So that's all part of this new budget. Of course, it's all predicated on these passing, so. Any other communications? Come on.
Well, I'm here, Ezekiel Brown, South Point. I just wanted to echo, previous speakers' comments about, seasonal sales tax not being that difficult to implement. Also, but I would not agree with raising the cap higher than $5,000. I mean, the problem with all this sales tax stuff is it all gets piled on the people that can't afford to go around this system. So it's like, especially with big purchases, I'll just be driving to Anchorage to buy a $10,000 thing, you know, as opposed to buying it here in town. It's just gonna, and that's the same thing with charging sales tax on food. It's taxing all the people that have to sit here in town and buy their food at Nichols instead of going to Costco and Anchorage. So, yeah, raising the cap makes that even worse, I think. And then I guess I would just reiterate my previous comments that I approve any more funding needed for the EMTs, because that's a very valuable service from the town.
Thank you. Any other comments on agenda items? Hearing none, then we'll move on to new business. Ordinance 1210, an ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, amending Cordova Municipal Code, section 5.40.010, to increase the sales tax rate from 6% to 7%. Revise the language to clarify the scope and application of Cordova sales tax. This is on second and final reading.
I move to adopt ordinance 1210.
Second.
Is that Kathy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Schaefer.
I hear the comments about the seasonal sales tax, and we did talk a lot about that. And it didn't just come down to like implementing, you know, because there's software that can do it for you, but it also, there was issues and confusion about like services. So if if you're, scheduling something, you buy it in June, but it's scheduled for something that's happening in October, do you pay the summer rate versus the winter? I don't know, there was like a lot of that around it, and honestly, even the outside of businesses, most people I talked to just were in support of going with the flat rate, so there was a lot of discussion about how we ended up there. I guess I do appreciate the points that were made regarding long-term rentals and the double taxation. I think those are pretty valid points. And so my question is, can that be addressed? Is that addressed in this ordinance, or that be addressed in our update to the Title V?
I don't think we could add it in this ordinance right now, but as we continue that work on Title V, that is something that could be discussed, I'm sure.
So is that part of Title V right now, that it includes long-term rentals, or is that a new, because here we have the including rentals and services, could we change that to short-term rentals and services? 400.
That's not defined then.
That's 5.40.010. It says including rentals and services. Could it be including short-term rentals and services? Are we changing it too much for a second reading?
I think it'd be cleaner to exempt the
I don't know.
apartment
That's
rentals.
way-
Rentals
Include that
can
in
be a
the
lot of different things,
exemptions. Yeah.
we rent equipment that we charge tax on, we rent. So I think an exemption for,
It'd be an added exemption, so that would come in our title. Clean up.
But the cleanup
Yeah.
is how I,
yeah,
I would agree.
Okay, that was just, because I think those were really valid points, and I appreciated those being brought up. Yeah, and I didn't know if that could be addressed here, or if that's coming. Thanks.
Councilmember Sherman.
Yeah, that was a good clarification. Thank you for that. And I am looking forward to finishing reviewing Title V, but I'm in favor of this. I am traveling outside right now, and I just paid over 20% in sales tax in a community. So this is something that we need to do, and I'm in favor of it.
Okay, Councilmember Baylor?
Yeah, I'm in favor of it, and I like a quick comment about Ann Schaefer's concern and what was brought about on the taxes for rental. What they're really saying is it's gonna cut into my profits, or I won't be able to raise my rates. Right? I mean, if you're renting places, you're making a profit. And I do rent places. I try to keep them low, and now I'll have to take a look at this. If they're gonna pay a little bit more for the rent, I won't be able to raise it as much next year, or whatever the situation will be. So if they're really, really concerned about that, keep your rates where people can afford to stay in your place, make a reasonable profit, and we'll all get along. But I think that's kind of a silly argument myself. That's not going to put anybody out of a rental. So I'll support this.
Okay, Carpenter's not with us?
No,
Okay, Councilmember Kinsman?
Thank you. I know we've discussed this a lot. Thank you for the comments. I look forward to continued work with or that is section 5, title 5. Thank you. Actually, do we have any I know it's kind of a little bit of updates on when more conversations are going to happen on that?
after the new year,
Okay.
and yeah, anything that we change in there, property tax wise won't go into effect until 25. And sales tax would be, if we get it done first quarter, timely enough, it'll start second quarter.
Thank you. And just going back to maybe a different conversation we can have on sales tax, a different approach to split sales tax that I've seen in other communities outside of Alaska is goods and services at one rate and food items at a different rate. I don't know if that conversation has been had here. That's another opportunity that we could explore in the future, for a break for local year-round residents in this community to different sales tax in that regard. Would alleviate some of the split year-round issues that Councilmember Schaefer was bringing up. And as far as it would really just be a software adjustment of, is this food or is this goods and services? And where we only really, explore what the food tax rate is and where that would apply. Is that on, generally it's not on prepared food, so it's food you buy in a grocery store. And since we really only have 2 grocery stores in our community, it's really just working with them. I could be wrong and open to a future discussion. But where this stands, I'll support it.
Councilmember Jones? You with us?
No comment.
Okay, Councilmember Rainey?
Yeah, I did talk to a couple different groups of community members, business owners and non-business owners, and they all pretty much supported the straight raise of 7 if we were gonna do it at all. I am curious to look at a split potential with food versus services in the future though, but I support the 7 for now.
Okay, round 2, anybody? Ready to vote? Okay, roll call on ordinance 1210.
Okay, on 1210. Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Kathy Sherman,
Yes.
Casey Kinsman,
Yes.
Wendy Rainey,
Yes.
Ann Schaefer,
Yes.
Kristen Carpenter is absent, Ken Jones.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, thank you. Ordinance 1212. An ordinance of the council of the city of Cordova, Alaska, amending Cordova Municipal Code, section 5.40.030, to increase the cap on taxable sales and services from $3,000 to $5,000. Second reading. Your motion?
I move to accept ordinance 1212. If you can read the whole ordinance.
No, you don't have to.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Rainey?
I don't support the 10,000. I think raising it from 3 to 5 still puts it in range for businesses that utilize. I think taking it to 10 prices out some of the businesses that utilize this, so. I do support the 5,000.
Okay, Councilmember Kinsman?
Yeah, I support the 5,000. I definitely. Anyways, I look forward, again, going back to our Title V discussion and cleaning up and having clear parameters on what qualifies and what doesn't qualify. And I think us raising it to 5, there's a revenue increase, and then cleaning up what is qualified and what doesn't qualify. And possibly even looking at some of the teeth behind enforcement on some of that is also another source of revenue. So I'm in favor of that. We obviously look forward to the continued conversation after the new year.
Thank you, Councilmember Schaefer.
No additional comments.
Councilmember Jones?
Sorry, I'm having some connection issues here. I don't think I'm gonna be supporting this. I definitely don't support going to 10,000. I don't really support going to 5,000.
Okay, Councilmember Baylor?
Yeah, I support the $5,000 amount.
Councilmember Sherman?
I am in support as well.
Okay, anybody have any last comments to make? Okay, hearing none, we will have a roll call, please.
Kathy Sherman,
Yes.
Wendy Rainey,
Yes.
Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Ken Jones,
No.
Ann Schaefer,
Yep.
Casey Kinsman,
Yes.
and Kristen Carpenter is absent. Motion carries 5-1.
Okay, thank you. Resolution 11-23-33. Resolution of the Council of the City of Cordova, Alaska, authorizing Key Bank National Association as custodian of investment accounts for the City of Cordova.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Councilmember Schaefer?
We already approved the use of this group, for managing the permanent fund, so I think this is just part of the process of making that happen, or else I'm in support.
Thank you, Councilmember Kinsman.
Yeah, I understand this is the next step of that. And I know Councilmember Baylor's brought up, I feel some good points of, I guess, maybe when are some of these people gonna address us or speak to us?
So I talked to,
Sing for their supper. That's what I want to hear.
Blake, I talked to Blake and, we're looking at maybe something in between the 6th and the 20th, if we wanna take that on. Or maybe something before the 20th, if we're ready to roll with the budget into the meeting instead of a work session before. So they're willing to go, this needs to occur first so they can get everything over, we can start signing off and.
If this moves it forward so they can come before us and have the conversation, then again, tell us what they're gonna do with our money, then I'm in favor of this.
Councilmember Baylor?
Yeah, I'm delighted to see this moving forward and yeah, I hope at some point, whatever works with staff as far as their schedule, if they can address us and kind of give us a little rundown on their philosophy and what we can expect, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Councilmember Sherman.
Yeah, I support it. Long time coming, and I'm glad that we're making headway.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones.
No comment.
Councilmember Rainey?
No comment.
Okay, this is just a voice vote, so all those in favor of resolution 11-23-33, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Council approval of the contract with Samantha Greenwood as interim city manager.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Moved by Schaefer. Go ahead, Counselor.
I'm in support of this. I really appreciate Sam stepping up and filling this role, so thank you, and yeah, I'm in support of it.
Okay, Councilmember Rainey.
Yep, I support it. Thank you for doing the nasty hard work and on top of your regular hard work. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Kidman.
Yeah, I support it, and thank you, especially it's not just doing it any time of the year, you're doing it really in the thick of it, so really extra thank you, and hopefully you feel appreciated in it and supported in it, so.
Councilmember Jones.
No comment.
Councilmember Baylor.
Yeah, appreciate the work you're doing. Thanks for stepping in.
Councilmember Sherman.
Yeah, as someone who's had to do this a few times, I'm happy to see us compensating Sam appropriately. And it's not an easy job, so thank you very much, Sam.
You don't want to calculate the per hour rate, that is. It's not much, thank you, Sam.
You're working
Okay,
24 hours a day.
this is a roll call vote.
Yes. Thanks. Forgot my roll call, please, there we go. Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Kathy German,
Yes.
Casey Kinsman. Wendy Rainey,
Yes.
Ann Schaefer,
Yes.
Kristen Carpenter is absent, Ken Jones.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, thank you. Audience participation. Here you can speak on anything you'd like to speak on if you want to. Doesn't have to be on the agenda. No big rush for the council table, eh? All right, council comments. Councilmember Rainey.
Just thanks for putting everything together. I appreciate the work on the budget. That was unexpected. And for taking all of our suggestions. I appreciate that. I appreciate the comments from the audience. It's nice to have folks come in. I understand what it's like to sit in the chair and not be able to comment. So I appreciate you coming in and commenting. Thank you.
Councilmember Baylor.
Yeah, thanks for staff and hard work getting this budget going, and you know, the comment was, wish there was another way. Well, we've looked at everything, and wishing doesn't get it done. We've had to make some tough decision. Nobody likes to raise taxes, but you know, the union, they've got their employees, the city employees, they got a raise. That's going to jump up next couple of years. We got to be able to cover that. Our costs are going up. One thing I hear over and over again from friends and acquaintances is, you know, at city, you know, we need to cut. Everybody has an assistant and everybody's got a new vehicle. Well, I don't know about the assistant part. We can look at that, but I've seen some of the vehicles that the city auctions off, and by the time they get rid of them, they're in pretty rough shape. They're not really suitable to have your employees ride around with them. And the city does get those vehicles, the trucks anyway. I'm not speaking about the heavy equipment. I'm not that knowledgeable on it, but the trucks and vans, they get them at a far reduced rate than the public gets. So maybe their exception or thought process of a $50,000-$60,000 truck isn't quite true, but I think the staff's doing a pretty good job, and we're doing what we can to keep the wheels turning. And until somebody comes in, the public comes in and says, we want you to start cutting and naming things, there's no way we're going to reduce this budget much more. So thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones.
No comment.
Councilmember Sherman.
Thanks for the good conversation tonight. I appreciated the budget work sessions. I think have been the most informative that we've had in years, and I appreciate everyone's questions. It's I think it's like Councilman Baylor said, we really did look hard at everything, both expenses and revenue as much as we could and tried to be as fair as we could. So just is a hard year and I think we did pretty good, and kudos to Sam and Susan for putting it all together in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kinsman.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I just look at this as, taken lightly, but an accomplishment. I mean, with this increase, and as someone who's in the community, someone who's paying this increase as well, we really have a balanced budget, and that's something we've been really working towards. We have everything kind of allocated, for funds coming in, going out, something like going back to what Council Member Sherman was speaking to and addressing our work sessions, and yeah, I mean, so it's our fourth one, like, give or take, between this and Title V, or so, yeah. Anyways, we've met together quite a bit and had some good conversations. I appreciate it. I've learned a lot. Hopefully, with everyone else, we've all been able to contribute some pieces, ask some questions, some of them harder than others. So thank you, staff, for really taking back what our asks are and coming back with information and making it easy to digest and understand and getting us to this point. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Schaefer.
Reiterate the big thank you to Sam and staff, and it's also really appreciative of the public comment tonight.
All right, thank you for coming, and our business being concluded, we will adjourn the special meeting.
That is the wording.